Hey, welcome into the Snap. Saturday, April 2nd. Your boy Mac here, holding it down with Lando, and things are looking a little different today. We are trying out a new streaming platform. We did this last year during the draft. It was well received, and we pivoted. But I think this is going to be better moving forward. I think this is what you're going to see. It allows us to highlight what you guys are saying, put you into the conversation, and kind of frees us up from a video standpoint. So, Lando, what's going on?
Mac, I'm doing good. Welcome into all the new listeners getting ready for the NFL draft. Today we are doing our NFL mock draft 2.0. We did a 1.0. Mac did a great article. Check out our website. It's in the link in the episode description if you want to check out that excellent article Mac did. But today we're going 2.0. We're going to get in depth about some other players, maybe some defensive players, where we see the draft going. And then we'll of course talk about the offensive players that everyone listening wants to know about, the guys that maybe you're not too familiar with, you want to get familiar. The draft is a few weeks away. It's April 28th. We're talking right now on April 2nd. So it's getting super close, Mac. Are you getting excited for the NFL draft?
Oh, heck yeah. Yeah, I've been doing more research, watching more film, just really sort of getting into what to expect. I went back and I looked at our content from last year surrounding the NFL draft, and we did a pretty decent job with some landing spots. Although I didn't remember this, but I was set on Jamar Chase going to the Bengals. To the Dolphins. I thought the Bengals were going to take Penei Sewell, and we were all super happy when the news broke watching back that live stream. But I was set on Jamar going to the Dolphins. So we hit some guys, we missed some guys. The one thing I'm really struggling this year is figuring out who's going to land where at quarterback, because there might only be 2 to 3 quarterbacks taken in the first round. It's not going to be like last year. So I think it's really going to be interesting to see where these guys fall and what teams jump up to grab quarterbacks.
Yeah, we had 4 quarterbacks go in the first 5 picks, and right now, spoiler alert, we don't have a quarterback. We have 1 quarterback going in the top 10. We'll say that is it's going to be a lot different than this year. 2023 is when you get the more elite, established quarterbacks, the quarterbacks that broke out early. What we want to see for quarterbacks breaking out in their sophomore season, freshman season, even potentially. The modern quarterback needs to be mobile, needs to be accurate, needs to have a big arm. And there's not that many of these in this draft.
No, definitely not. It's going to be very interesting. I think there's going to be some later, like second round, day 2 value for guys like Desmond Ridder or Carson Strong. Potentially, we might see Matt Corral draft there too. I think some teams can really take advantage of that in the early to mid second and get some good value. So it'll be interesting to see how it all shakes out. But I think this will be a defensively dominated opening day. I would love to see as many wide receivers go as we have in these mocks, but part of what we're doing with the mocks is trying to fill team need and also be selfish for fantasy purposes. Because at the end of the day, this is a fantasy show. We need to talk about fantasy football.
Of course. If you're watching this on YouTube for the first time, make sure to like this video, subscribe, and comment down below what you think you liked about this mock draft, what you didn't like, and what you would do differently. Any hot takes you have. Who do you think the first quarterback will be off the board? Could it be Kenny Pickett, Malik Willis? How early do you think they're going to go? Do you think the Detroit Lions are going to trade out of the second pick? Let me know what you think about this mock draft and what you would do differently. Comment down below. We will follow us on Twitter. We are snap_fantasy on Twitter and Instagram. We'll be posting when we go live on those social platforms. Mac is at Tout23 and I am Lando_FF. So get us on our socials. We're starting to ramp up, guys. So if you just found us for the first time, we will be putting out more and more content. And then throughout the season, heck, we're doing 5-6 shows a week like we did last year. We are full throttle. And the best part is we interact with our listeners, our followers, our community. We have a Discord community where it's a great group of people. We have men and women in there giving some great NFL takes. I mean, right now it's all about Dynasty, Mac. We're talking Dynasty Nate, Snap Army Joker. These guys are in there all the time getting things getting things ready and dropping some knowledge.
Dropping some knowledge. I want to talk about some info that we've got over the last week or so. The one that just broke, Marlon Mack has been signed by the Texans, projects to be the lead back for 2022. Are you excited about this news? Do you think this revives any dynasty value for Marlon Mack? How are you handling this situation?
I don't love it at all. I think it's still going to be a rotation at the running back position. They kind of took the shotgun approach last year and just signed everyone to the Houston backfield, and it didn't really work. I like Marlon Mack as an athlete, but I'm not going to be taking Marlon Mack with any kind of draft stock for me this year. What about you? Kind of the same thing?
No, I mean, I do think that he is an upgrade to David Johnson. Philip, I mean, they had, what do they got? I don't know what they're going to have for Mark Ingram moving forward, but Philip Lindsay, David Johnson, now you factor in Marlon Mack. I mean, he's the most attractive piece in the backfield. If he can get himself into like a 15 touches per week kind of workload, I think I'd be interested in like flexing him, but the offense is not going to be good.
Mark Ingram is with the Saints. He signed an actual
he did
extension last year when he moved there.
Did he go there mid? Oh, he did go there mid-year.
Mid-season, yeah.
I totally forgot about that one.
All good.
So what, they got Philip Lindsay, David Johnson?
I think so. I think that's it.
Marlon's a nice complement to that backfield. David Johnson's lost a little bit of a step, and Marlon Mack is pretty fresh. So we'll see. We'll see how it goes. I think he's the most attractive of the three there. So I'd be interested, but I'm not jumping to conclusions. If I could sell any bit of hype off Marlon Mack in a dynasty league, I think I would right now.
Royce Freeman still there, Rex Burkhead, the two Achilles tears, Freeman and Marlon Mack on the same team.
Yeah. Let's go to, I think, something that, I mean, it's not fantasy related, but Bruce Arians steps down from the Tampa Bay Bucks, even after Tom Brady commits himself to coming back. Does this change things for the Bucks offensively? Do we have any hope in Byron Leftwich? I mean, what's your take on this?
So Todd Bowles is the new head coach of the team. I think he's a defensive-minded head coach. I think he is good for the team. Bruce Arians moves up to the front office, so he's still involved with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. I don't think it changes too much. There's rumors that Arians and Tom Brady never got along. So this just could be Tom Brady doing what he does and making moves for the team, and Arians steps away. And I think the Tampa Bay Buccaneers are still going to compete for the Super Bowl, and I don't think it changes much for me.
Did you see the Julian Edelman April Fool's news he posted about starting a new chapter?
I cannot stand April Fools. I disregarded all the stuff on Twitter, on Instagram. I think it's the stupidest holiday, whatever you want to call it. I unfollowed people that tweeted out fake stuff on Twitter. I'm sorry, but it's just
Tiger Woods confirmed playing the Masters.
Oh my gosh. I saw stuff on Instagram and on Twitter, and I just said I can't deal with this.
That's enough for me.
That's enough for me. Sorry to be a downer. I'm not fun, maybe, guys, but just not.
I honestly, it's got to the point where it used to be fun when you would, people would do things in person and you would like forget what day it was, whatever. Now it's just like every single thing you see on social media is just related to April Fools, and it just gets old quick. The novelty completely wears off. And yeah, I'm the same. I'm like, you know what? I'm not even going to go. I'm not even going to go on. Like, forget it.
People getting engaged, getting pregnant. I think it's just all in bad taste.
The golf courses saving photos from, the middle of winter and being like, oh, like overnight. Like, I'm like, okay, look, I can look out my window and see that there's no snow. Stop. Stop.
Sorry.
Bobby Wagner. We want to talk about that real quick. Signing in division with the Rams, leaving the Seahawks, signed a 5-year, $50 million deal with a $65 million ceiling with incentives. Crazy to see him stay in division, go to the Rams after they lost Von Miller. But he sort of bulks up that defense. Not like they need it, but he bulks up that defense just a little bit.
Man, he is a tackle machine. Just he racks up tackles. It seems like he's in every play. He's an older veteran player, but he's still so good. Shocking that the Rams can just sign another one of these guys. That just could we have a all LA Super Bowl this year with the Chargers Rams?
It would be so much fun.
Yeah, I mean we could have had it in LA this year if the Chargers didn't blow it. But yeah, I mean, yeah, the Rams are great and they just keep on keeping on. What do you think about this thing about with Antonio Brown refusing to have surgery until he is signed? I don't think anyone's going to sign Antonio Brown. Why would anyone sign Antonio Brown?
I think he's putting the cart before the horse here. Like, why would I sign somebody knowing that they need to miss time and have surgery? I'm investing in something that might not ever pan out. Whereas if he were to have the surgery, get healthy, and be ready to go come season's time, I think that's probably the better way to go about it. He's wanting to get paid when he's not really worthy of that, given how he departed from the league once again. So I think this is a bad approach for Antonio Brown, and I'm not optimistic for his long term here.
Yo, what's going on? Snap Army member Chris Timmons in the chat. Appreciate you coming by. As always, we do answer questions, but I mean, today we're talking about an NFL mock draft. So if you have comments after the fact, if you're watching this after, drop it in the comments as well to see what kind of videos you guys want to see. Do you want to see player profiles? Do you want us to go in depth on a specific player and talk 5 to 10 minutes about one guy? We'll touch on things and give some broad strokes about these prospects, but we can really focus in and if there's a specific guy that you want to hear about, a top end guy like Drake London, or kind of a lower end guy like Jahan Dotson. We could do anything you guys want. Let us know in the comments.
Just in perfect time, Chris, because we're about to jump into NFL Mock Draft 2.0. Now, I'm going to be taking the uneven picks, the odd picks, and Lando's going to be taking the even picks. And this was my recommendation because I already did a mock draft and I already got to pick for the Green Bay Packers twice. So I am relinquishing that responsibility. I'm giving it to Lando. He's going to get picks 22, 28, so that there's no bias for the Green Bay picks. It's all going to be on Lando. So I guess I'll kick things off here with the number 1 pick. I've debated back and forth between Aiden Hutchinson and Evan Neal, and I know that some people are going to say that Evan Neal's the best prospect in the draft. Like, this guy's a mammoth of a man, 6'7", 350 pounds, really, really talented. But Aiden Hutchinson is probably, I think I've seen the highest graded edge defender in college football, and I think the clear-cut number 1. So I'm just going to keep things really simple and go with Aiden Hutchinson here for the Jacksonville Jaguars. They get another really, really good piece moving forward.
Yeah. The edge position affects so many. It affects games, guys.
Yeah.
Like we know when Tom Brady was in his dominance, the biggest factor of him losing was pressure on the quarterback. So taking an edge with the first pick is absolutely in the cards. But I also think if the Detroit Lions stay at 2, they should take arguably the best player in the draft as well, and that's Evan Neal, Alabama offensive tackle. I know they took a really good offensive tackle last year, but heck, you have to protect your quarterback. This isn't the time to take a quarterback when you still need so much for the Detroit Lions. So building behind the offensive line, taking a high-end quarterback next year, it would be my strategy for the Lions. And number 1 is to take Evan Neal.
Right. Yeah. At 3 for the Houston Texans, I'm sticking in the offensive tackle position here. Now, I'm going to preface this by saying if this draft started out like Aiden Hutchinson, Kayvon Thibodeau, Ike Ekwonu, I wouldn't be shocked. I could see it going edge because edge is a need for so many teams. But I'm going to go offensive tackle. I'm going to go with Ike Ekwonu, a dominant run blocker. And if you're going to try to get Marlon Mack to be the centerpiece here, you want to be able to maybe draft a quarterback and open up some protection and some run blocking and move the football. I think Icky's a really, really good way to go. Really solid piece. So I'm going to go with Icky there.
And for this mock draft 2.0, we're not going to trade. We will do trades in the future and we'll have fun with that. But we're going to stick with the line, the order the way it is right now. So the New York Jets, their needs are offensive tackle, edge, safety, cornerback, maybe wide receiver, but it's too early for some of those positions. Like I mentioned before, edge is an extremely important part. So I'm going to go Kayvon Thibodeau, edge out of Oregon at number 4. This is another difference maker kind of position. You're building the team right if you're a New York Jets fan, and you start in the trenches. Honestly, that's where teams build to be elite, as you start in the trenches. And I think Kayvon Thibodeau is a great piece for the Jets.
Yeah, couldn't agree more. I could see him going 3rd if the Houston Texans decide that they want to grab an edge piece, but I think this one's a no-brainer for me. The Giants have 2 picks here. I've got them taking Trayvon Walker. He is a little bit more of a rawer prospect. His pass rushing could be a little bit better, but he is a physical specimen and he is an athletic freak. You can't really teach what he possesses naturally. And so I think he'll be a little bit of a project, but also a really, really good piece for the Giants. So I'm going to go Trayvon Walker. I think he doesn't go outside the top 5.
The Carolina Panthers, in our 1.0, we had them taking Kenny Pickett.
Yes, we did.
Quarterback. And I think he is a very good prospect, but I don't believe that the Panthers are ready to commit to a rookie quarterback here. We're going to switch it up, and their next best option is going to be Christian McCaffrey, which he needs. He needs offensive tackle help. That's one of the biggest needs for the Carolina Panthers right now. So I'm going Charles Cross, offensive tackle out of Mississippi State. Some protection. Again, this is where I'm going to repeat it until we don't have to. Starts with protection in the trenches. These big men is how you win football games. And I don't think that Kenny Pickett is the guy to take yet anyways.
Very, very interesting. Yeah, I thought that with Sam Darnold, I mean, the Panthers were very transparent in trying to get somebody else to come in and be their signal caller for the next season, and they haven't been successful in doing so yet. So my sort of disposition was, if they can't secure a Baker Mayfield or a Jimmy Garoppolo per se before the draft, that Kenny Pickett would be an appropriate selection. But let's assume in this case that they did so and quarterback was not a need. Charles Cross, offensive tackle, get some protection for your new quarterback, I think makes a lot of sense.
Do you think the Giants go quarterback? Are they going to be out on Daniel Jones already, or do they know that they need to fix more than just the quarterback position in New York?
I think here the common theme for me with the Giants is go ahead and bulk up the defense. The defense has been just as much of a liability as the offense lately. So Trayvon Walker, we took as probably the 3rd best edge defender in this class. And I think that they have to stick with defense. I'm simply just going best player available. And outside of Aiden Hutchinson and Evan Neal, I think when you talk positionless and demand, like positional scarcity definitely factors in with edge and offensive tackles, which is why you've seen the draft unfold the way that it's unfolding. But you look at next best player available, I think it's Kyle Hamilton, safety. This guy is massive, 6'4", 220 pounds, can really defend the modern NFL receiver, guys that are 6'1" and can run sub 4.4s. Like Kyle Hamilton is going to be a guy that can lock those guys down. So the Giants could really benefit from a guy like this. And if they were to make out with Walker and Hamilton, I think that'd be an unbelievable start to recrafting this defense.
And I mean, the thumbnail gives it away, guys. This is not a secret. But I'm going to give you the reasons why that we're going Malik Willis to the Atlanta Falcons at 8. So I brought this up kind of before we started. At the quarterback position, you need to take big swings. If you're going to compete in the NFL against the Justin Herberts, Patrick Mahomes, Josh Allen's, all these elite freak athletes, you need to swing big. And I think Malik Willis has the potential to do that. He's got all the assets he needs. He's a very raw talent, but so was Josh Allen. Justin Herbert wasn't the consensus 101 when he got drafted. He got drafted behind Tua Tagovailoa, but he's got the big arm, the mobility, and that was what Malik Willis has. 6'1", 219-pound quarterback out of Liberty. He started his career at Auburn, then he transferred to Liberty, and I think that he finally got the reins taken off. That's when he really broke out and had rushing yards and had the ability to be a difference maker on that team, and that's where I think he can do that in the NFL as well. He might be a year away from really being a NFL starter, but I think if the Falcons, if any team in particular needs a big swing, a prospect that can be a difference maker if things hit right for him, I think that's going to be Malik Willis. That's why if I was the Falcons and they need to rebuild, they're a long way from really competing in the NFL, you take a prospect like this. And if they miss on him, I mean, at the end of the day, it happens all the time. Daniel Jones, everyone misses on quarterbacks. It's really hard to hit on a quarterback. So you might as well take an extremely good athlete, a guy that can make plays with his legs. He's got a big arm. Although it's inaccurate, at least we know that he can do it. He's going to be great for fantasy, but I think he has a ton of potential in the NFL anyway. So I think that's why I'm going Malik Willis as the first quarterback off the board. Yes, I don't believe he's the most refined one yet, but I think he's got the biggest upside, highest ceiling in the modern NFL.
Really good question here coming in from one of our members, Chris Timmons. Are y'all going to do the rookie player profiler videos this year? Yes. Long story short, yes, we are, Chris. We're going to be doing those. But unlike last year, we're going to do them post-draft instead of pre-draft. Part of these mock drafts is to be able to maybe talk about some of the players that we're seeing going in the first round, getting you accustomed to those guys. But once players land, I think that really offers us a more concrete opportunity to talk about the potential impacts and upsides for certain players, because what we found last year is in doing those profile videos, a lot changed when the context was applied. And so we're just going to take a different approach this year and see how it works out. But yes, those things are coming. You can let us know in the Discord what players that you are interested in, and we can certainly make that happen.
Absolutely.
All right, jumping back to the big board here. So far for you guys on audio, Aiden Hutchinson going to the Jags at 1, Evan Neal going to the Lions at 2, Ike Ekwonu going to the Texans at 3, Kayvon Thibodeau to the Jets at 4, Trayvon Walker to the Giants at 5, Charles Cross to the Panthers instead of Kenny Pickett. That's a big difference from mock draft 1.0 to 2.0 to the Panthers. Kyle Hamilton at 7 to the Giants, and Malik Willis, number 8 to the Falcons. If you want to see a little jersey swap, you can go over to the YouTube or the Instagram and check that little artwork out. Comes to me at 9, and I'm going with Derek Stingley Jr. for the Seattle Seahawks out of LSU. Now, Stingley has been an unbelievable prospect since he started at LSU. He's played ever since he was a freshman. He missed a little bit of time. But this guy, what he's put on tape over the last couple of years, really, really impressive. You're talking about a guy that can make a huge impact and a major difference for a defense. This is the guy. So Stingley, we're sort of looking back a little bit into the archives for him in his tape because he's missed some time, but I think he is one of the best next best players available, if that makes sense.
Easy for you to say.
Yeah, man.
The New York Jets took edge in with their first pick. They've got another pick here at 10. I think they want to protect their quarterback, but there's not really an offensive tackle that I would go here. So maybe they move back again, but I'm going to go with best player available, and I think that's Ahmad Gardner out of Cincinnati, cornerback. It's not necessarily one of their needs, but I mean, you can't. Cornerback is another great position where it does have it makes a difference to winning and losing games if you're strong at the cornerback position with all the excellent NFL wide receivers these days. I think the cornerback position, I think it's good. I think it's a fine pick for the Jets. If I was a Jets fan, I'd be pretty happy with this. Their defense was sneaky good, and if they go defense in the top 10, it could be that's what they need. That's what they need to win games, I think.
We got a comment here. Why would the Lions take Evan Neal? To be honest with you, I've heard a lot of talk that the Lions are going to trade out. They're going to trade back and potentially give Evan Neal up to a team that wants, and that's probably a good play. But I think Evan Neal is the second best player available in the draft. The third best would probably be Kyle Hamilton. That's the way that I see it. But offensive tackle and edge just have such a positional scarcity that the talent runs out quick. So can you really have too good of an offensive line? No. But if the Lions are interested elsewhere, then I could see them trading that out. But we're not doing any trades in today's draft. We are simply just going through the order as is and having some fun with it.
I would have to look, but did Penei Sewell play offensive? I thought he was playing at the guard position last year. So
I believe they moved him.
I think so if he was playing guard, I mean, and if they wanted to put Neal at tackle, I mean, that's a phenomenal offensive line. So yeah, you're right. After taking a tackle and last year and going tackle again, I would make sense. But I'm pretty sure that Sewell moved around on the offensive line last year. So that's another reason why if you missed it, I mean, for a team like that, they need a lot of pieces to rebuild. They need to start building in the trenches.
Yeah, and they want to run the football.
Heck yeah, they do.
So it makes a lot of sense.
Yeah.
I've got so you took Ahmad Gardner, at 10. So I got 11 here. I had Garrett Wilson going to the Commanders. Now I don't love this. But I think it's a possibility. Garrett Wilson or Drake London, I think, are going to be fighting or jockeying for position at who's the first wide receiver off the board. I had Drake London going to the Falcons, I believe, in my last draft, given that they really don't have much at this receiving position now that Calvin Ridley is going to be out for the year and they lost Russell Gage to the Bucs. So I had them taking Drake London, but this time Garrett Wilson, the first wide receiver off the board for the Commanders. This would be a nice compliment to Terry McLaurin, but it wouldn't be the most bullish position for Wilson to land for me from a fantasy perspective. I still think he could be valuable there. It actually might help Terry McLaurin considerably, but I think this is a big need for the Commanders, and I think they make a splash with Garrett Wilson.
Yeah, people would hate this pick if it happened in the real NFL draft, and I think the comments on the YouTube channel will reflect that. We don't want Garrett Wilson to go to the Commanders, but I think this is it could happen. It could absolutely happen because he's one of my favorite wide receivers. He commanded a 28% target share in his sophomore season. Like he's really good. He outproduced Olave last year.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I think he's a really good wide receiver, and he's got the frame that a current stud wide receiver has. He's a 6 foot, 285-pound guy, and he's a burner. Ran a 4.38 at the combine. So I think Garrett Wilson. I watched some tape on him today, and he's got some great hands. He's a separator. He's got the speed like we saw at the combine. I think he's a really, really good talent.
Yeah, his route running is great. He's very polished. I think if you look at the wide receivers in this class that just can't miss, there's very few of them. I think they're really steady, locked and loaded NFL talents. I think Garrett Wilson checks a lot of boxes. And if I was just looking to have a safe pick, I would start at Garrett Wilson and I would work my way down from there. A guy like Treylon Burks, who we'll talk about in a little bit, he is the opposite. I think he has a lot of upside. I think he's got potential, but he's rawer. He's a bigger
Yeah.
risk. So
Yeah.
I think that you're going to see Garrett Wilson and Drake London fall earlier, and guys like Jameson Williams and even Treylon Burks go later.
Perfect.
A little bit of risk.
With 11 here, the Minnesota Vikings take the best player
12,
available, and
12.
that is 12. Sorry.
Yeah.
Right. I did not put your pick in yet on when I'm following along here.
It's all good.
Yeah. So Jermaine Johnson, the edge out of Florida State. I think this is just this is the way the draft is going to go, all in the trenches. And Jermaine Johnson makes sense for the Minnesota Vikings. It's whatever falls to them. They could move out of this position as well. We saw them move around last year in the draft as well. Once Fields was off the board, so I think they just take best player available. That's Jermaine Johnson.
All right. Flipping over, that's the first 12 picks in the draft. Going here to the second slide here. Houston Texans come in at 13. If this was the way that the draft unfolded, I don't know if the Texans would be able to look past Kenny Pickett out of Pittsburgh, even though they have Davis Mills and he projects to be a decent talent. They seem to like they're okay moving forward with him. I think if the draft were to unfold this way, they would draft Kenny Pickett, Mr. Baby Hands himself. I think he just presents too much upside given this quarterback class. And I think if you're looking at most NFL ready talent, I think for me, it's Kenny Pickett. I think he could step in right away, be their leader. Now, if he were to go to the Texans, I don't necessarily know that this job is handed to him. He would certainly have to earn it from Davis Mills, but the takeover would probably happen some point during the season. But healthy quarterback competition is great for an offense. So yeah, Texans could get their guy and help replace Deshaun Watson. Kenny Pickett at 13.
At 14, the Baltimore Ravens missed out on Bobby Wagner, so I think they go offensive or interior defensive lineman. The Georgia prospect Devontae Wyatt is who they're going to go with. They need to get that defense back stout because their offense, I think, is just fine with who they have there. So I think Devontae Wyatt out of Georgia is the pick for the Ravens.
Okay. Wow. So this is where I'm going to go. I have the privilege of selecting two players for the Eagles who pick at 15, 16, and 19. I look here and I go, look, the Eagles have in the last couple of years failed to really hit on wide receiver. JJ Arcega-Whiteside was a miss. Jalen Reagor was a miss. Devontae Smith was a hit. They need to continue to take, even though it hasn't been a worthwhile strategy, I think they have to go back and try again. And with one of these three picks, I think they're going to take a wide receiver. I've got them taking Drake London, who I think is one of the top 2 to 3 wide receivers in this class. He kind of offers the archetype that they wanted JJ Arcega-Whiteside to be, the bigger bodied guy. But London is such a better athlete than Arcega-Whiteside. So not only will he be able to be a red zone threat with jockeying for position, making contested catches, he offers a lot of yards after catch, which is something that Devontae Smith provides them as well. So you get these guys, 2 bigger bodied guys with some speed, who can create for themselves. I think London would be a really nice complement to Smith and Goddard. And this would be a big wide receiving corp to throw at.
One of the reasons why people love Drake London is because he commanded target shares with Amon-Ra St. Brown, with Michael Pittman on the same field, 2 very good and competent NFL wide receivers, and he stood out on the field even as a rookie. So I think Drake London is going to be a very good NFL real life wide receiver and a good fantasy asset. He really had a great year in his junior season. And I love that he comes out early too. I'm glad that these wide receivers don't go back for their senior season and come out early. And that's where we like our wide receivers. He's one of the big guys. He's one of the big prospects in this class. We don't have too many big wide receivers, and he fits the mold here at 6'4", 220.
100%.
Yeah, good pick.
Eagles
Eagles
again.
back to back.
Mhm.
So I'm going to go with a cornerback position out of Clemson, Andrew Booth Jr. I think this is more of a best player available selection. They don't necessarily need cornerback, but I mean, it never hurts to have talent at the cornerback position. Again, how good the wide receivers are in the NFL, it doesn't hurt at all. And I think Andrew Booth is a really good prospect.
Absolutely. The Chargers is who I have next at 17. And honestly, we talked about this. We're like, what do the Chargers actually need here? This is such a well-rounded football team that doesn't really have any glaringly obvious needs. I thought, look, you're maybe going down the board just a hair, but if you can go out and get another tackle that's really good in the run blocking, in the run game, I should say, specifically, who's a physical force, 6'7", 321 pounds, has the highest run blocking grade in PFF history at 99.9, highest they've ever charted. I think Trevor Penning, tackle out of Northern Iowa, makes a lot of sense here for them. The Chargers want some protection for Justin Herbert, their franchise toy. They want to be able to run the football or continue running the football. And I think that Trevor Penning would make a nice, I forgot to change. He is not an edge. He is a tackle. That is a mistake on my part, but Trevor Penning, tackle out of Northern Iowa.
All good. For the New Orleans Saints, this is a tough pick for them, but I have them selecting Chris Olave out of Ohio State, trying to fill the need that the Saints have, trying to get a burner, maybe replace the Brandon Cooks style. Chris Olave did not have a good senior season. He should have left college. He was great with Justin Fields. He was the number 1 wide receiver on that team, and now he was the number 3 wide receiver for Ohio State this year. Behind the aforementioned Garrett Wilson, and behind the rookie this year, Smith. I don't recall his name. He's got a kind of a bizarre name, but he was the number 1 wide receiver for Ohio State. He's going to be a fun prospect to look at in a couple of years. But either way, Chris Olave, I do believe he's polished. He's ready for the NFL. He's going to be a really good. I think he can move around in the slot on the outside. I think he's going to be a good wide receiver for them as long as Jameis Winston stays at quarterback. And I think this is what they need. They need a wide receiver for the future. And Olave, I think, fits the build.
Yeah. So those of you listening on audio here, going back through these picks for you real quick. Kenny Pickett at 13 to the Texans, Devontae Wyatt at 14 to the Ravens, Drake London to the Eagles at 15, Andrew Booth Jr. at 16 to the Eagles as well, Trevor Penning at 17, tackle, not edge, tackle out of Northern Iowa, and then Chris Olave to the Saints at 18 would be really fun. I think they've got to figure out what's going on with Michael Thomas, and if the Jameis Winston experiment can play itself out over the next 2 years or so. I think that's what he signed, a 2-year contract.
Excellent. Now we have the Eagles again. Eagles have a ton of picks. They have potential. Are they set at the quarterback position?
Yeah, I think given that both Pickett and Willis are gone, I think it doesn't make sense to go out and take a shot at like Matt Corral, for example. Malik Willis is just like Jalen Hurts. They're both mobile, super athletic, big arms. It doesn't make sense to draft the same archetype. If anything, the Eagles could grab a Kenny Pickett, who is more of a pocket passer, who's a little bit bigger. That would make sense, but I couldn't see them doing that. I think they're going to move forward with Jalen Hurts. I think George Karlaftis is going to be a nice play for them. One of the best pass rushers in the class out of Purdue. I think he's going to slowly climb up draft boards. He's kind of a little bit of a sleeper, but I've seen a lot of people talk about Karlaftis. Strong prospect.
We have a lot of mock drafts that have the Pittsburgh Steelers taking a quarterback here, but
Mhm.
I think that Trubisky is going to be a fine bridge quarterback until next year when they actually take and draft a quarterback. But they need offensive line help. So I'm going to go with Zion Johnson, interior offensive line out of Boston College. Desperately, they need offensive line help. Unfortunately, they're so far back in the draft that they're not going to get one of those elite tackles that they so desperately need. But I think we still address the offensive line position here for the Steelers.
Absolutely. Yep. New England Patriots here at 21. The corner and safety talent has almost depleted itself, but I think Trent McDuffie makes a lot of sense for them. So I'm going to get Trent McDuffie out of Washington to the Patriots at 21, help fill in a little bit of a hole in that secondary.
And we have the Green Bay Packers.
We do.
And this couldn't have worked out better for us. We had one of my favorite prospects coming in, Treylon Burks. He has fallen due to his I would say his raw talent. I mean, he's such a good wide receiver, but he did not perform very well at the combine. He could go in the top 10, in the top 15, but we're not really sure how teams really feel about him. There are some more refined wide receivers ahead of him, but I think this would be a perfect landing spot for Treylon Burks. I think Mac would order a Treylon Burks jersey immediately, and I would too. If this actually happened, I would convert to the Green Bay Packers.
I would love to see you.
No.
We could have some synchronization on this podcast for once in the 4-year history of the show.
We'll just switch it up. We're the Snap Packers podcast. That's it. All we talk about is Green Bay Packers.
Well, I mean, if you look at our logo, which you have behind you, that your girlfriend painted, it was designed using the Green Bay logo in mind. So you can kind of see the one above my head, the one beside your head. You can see the similarities. It's the same sort of build. That's my fandom. That's not yours. That would be fun. I think Treylon Burks represents somebody that, Aaron Rodgers hasn't had in a long, long time. Like, I wouldn't even say like a Greg, like he's almost like a prospect. He's a wide receiver he's never had to throw at. You want to look at like a comp for Devontae Adams, you look to like David Bell, who's maybe not the fastest guy, but he runs good routes and he creates separation, and he's sure-handed. Like, that fits the Devontae Adams mold. Treylon Burks is not Devontae Adams, but he is somebody that just can physically win. So we'll see. You brought up a good point in the mock draft video that Aaron Rodgers has a history of not trusting rookie wide receivers, but I think this will have to be the year the exception is made, because he might not have any choice.
No.
Yeah.
You know who? So player profiler. I don't know if this is on purpose or not. Player profiler best comparable to Treylon Burks is Jordy Nelson.
Okay, like I was going back and forth between Jordy and Greg Jennings. I kind of went to Greg Jennings first, but yeah, Jordy was kind of that guy too for Aaron, someone who kind of won downfield and could break longer plays. Jordy was special though.
Yeah,
Treylon Burks is special too. He's much more athletic than Jordy was.
Yeah,
stamp of approval though, Lando. I think Treylon Burks would be a lot of fun, and yes, I would order the jersey.
I should have just selected something terrible like a linebacker. I mean, anyways, Treylon Burks got to make you happy, Mac.
No, I'm thrilled. I've already broke the news here. If you're with us on YouTube, again, youtube.com/TheSnapFantasyFootball Podcast, Jameson Williams is who I'm picking at 23 for the Arizona Cardinals. I think Jameson Williams would be much, much higher up the board had he not torn his ACL in the college playoffs. So really, really good talent, a field stretcher, a long strider. I think Jameson Williams makes a lot of sense to fill in for the Christian Kirk role if they decide to go this route. This is a pick, honestly, where I don't think the obvious need for the Cardinals is wide receiver, but it would be a lot of fun if they did get Jameson Williams with, in mind, an aging DeAndre Hopkins and an unsure piece in Rondale Moore moving forward, I think Williams would be a nice addition to this offense. But it's not a set in stone thing for them, but I think it'd be a lot of fun.
When you watched Alabama, Jameson Williams stood out on the field and got hyper targeted. He was a problem. I hated for him that he tore his ACL. Next, we have the Dallas Cowboys, and this was a tough pick. They could use a linebacker. They could use some defenders, but I mean, surprisingly, their defense did pretty well this past year and really put a ceiling on what they needed to do until kind of the playoffs. But I'm going to go with interior offensive lineman. I'm going Tyler Linderbaum for the Dallas Cowboys. They did lose a tackle. There aren't tackles available right now that I would draft if I was the Cowboys, but I'm still going to go offensive lineman. They need some help there after kind of a bad offseason for them.
And I believe that Linderbaum is a center. I believe that's his native position. So I don't. Who is the current center for the Cowboys? Travis Frederick. 31. They could look to replace the position.
Yeah,
Linderbaum seems to be an all right pick. I believe I read somewhere earlier this week that he was actually the highest graded center in PFF history as well. So some really talented pieces in this class.
Love that.
Just not fantasy relevant pieces, but could help Zeke in that running offense. So yeah, Linderbaum seems all right.
All right. The Buffalo Bills, the first mock draft, we had them take Breece Hall. That would be it. That would be a phenomenal pick. But we're going to switch it up, Mac. What are you doing here?
Yeah, I wanted to. That would be so much fun. I don't know if the Buffalo Bills really want to take a running back, especially at this position. So in this second mock draft, we actually don't have any running backs off the board in the first round. And I think that that's probably more of a realistic approach. We kind of got spoiled last year with Najee Harris and Travis Etienne. Travis Etienne was one of the ones we did call to the Jags at 25.
Yes.
That was a hit for us, but
famously on the Whispers show.
Yes, and we had him in a mock too. So we had a couple places with that in mind. But no, this one's a tough one for me. And this is another team that's fairly complete. The defense is really, really solid, although we saw them get exposed at times. But the defense is really, really solid. The offense, I think they could have thrown it a bit more. And when you factor in Cole Beasley is gone, they let him go. Who else did they? Oh, Emmanuel Sanders. We don't know what's going on with him. But Stephon Diggs needs a little bit of help. Gabe Davis is ascending. He probably is a bigger part of the picture. But we've got Jahan Dotson out of Penn State going to the Bills at 25. He would be a really, really nice addition to this offense. Somebody who kind of represents what Cole Beasley represents in that very sure-handed, can create separation and get open. So I think Dotson would be a lot of fun.
Yeah, commanded a massive 30% target share in his senior season. He's a very good prospect and fast. He ran a 4.43 at the combine. Not the biggest wide receiver, but I think he's a good deep ball target. And I think this is a guy that Josh Allen would really like.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, what's not to like coming out of Penn State? There's been so many notable wide receivers come out of Penn State that it just makes a lot of sense to put some confidence in that investment for the Bills.
All right, Tennessee Titans coming up next. We're at pick 26. We have them going interior defensive lineman out of Georgia, Jordan Davis. I'm not sure what to do with the Texans this year. It feels like they're gonna
Titans.
Sorry, the Texans, the Titans. I feel like they go from a number 1 seed, and I think it's possible that they could miss the playoffs. They're a team that I think has such a wide range of outcomes this year with how good the NFL is and how competitive it's going to be. But maybe you never know.
You never know. It could be a little fall from grace. We'll see if Derrick Henry can stay healthy. This would have been a fun team to mock a wide receiver to. but the wide receiving talent, I think, after Jahan Dotson does take a bit of a hit, and I don't know that I would be really willing to go further down the board for the Titans. You could wait till round 2 and probably get somebody with similar upside. So Jordan Davis makes a lot of sense.
Just the AFC is so competitive. It's crazy how
well they got Robert Woods, right?
Yes, they did. Now it's curious to see when he's going to come back, but
they'll need some help.
Yeah.
All right, 27 for me. I've got Kenyon Green going to the Bucks, interior offensive lineman. Fun fact for Kenyon Green, he actually in college played every single position across the offensive line except for center. So you want to talk about a guy that is versatile, who has knowledge playing a variety of positions. Kenyon Green is really nice, a really nice piece for the Bucks. So I think this is a no-brainer play for the Buccaneers at 27.
What a stat nugget, Mac. Love that.
Yeah.
Love that. All right, I've got the Green Bay Packers going edge. Boy Matthew, out of Minnesota. I've got again. This is an offensive lineman, defensive lineman, heavy first round, but that's where the talent is this year. So you got to go where the talent is, and I think this would be another great pick after losing a linebacker this year to the Vikings.
Who did we lose?
Smith, right?
Oh, Zadarius Smith. That's right.
Zadarius,
yes. Yeah, Mafi is a really nice prospect. He had a really, really solid Senior Bowl and has sort of made some noise. So I could definitely see him in consideration for the Packers. You're right. The need is there. I experimented with some fun and them doubling down at wide receiver, but that was when Chris Olave was available. And then they took Jahan Dotson. But it's fallen differently, so it definitely doesn't make sense for them to reach for another one. So Mafi makes a lot of sense. I've got David Ajabo to the Kansas City Chiefs at 29. Now, I believe, let me just check if I'm correct. Yeah, Ajabo had an injury and missed some time.
Gotcha.
So he's fallen down boards. I think he would be a much higher drafted prospect had he not been injured. But edge prospect out of Michigan, I think he represents a lot of upside if he can get healthy and be, the guy that he was. So a little bit of a gamble here at 29, but I think it's something that the Chiefs could play with.
There we go. All right, we've got another Chiefs pick back to back. And I'm going to shock someone because they just lost Tyreek Hill, a difference maker at the wide receiver position. So I'm going with the wide receiver, a 96th percentile 40-yard dash, running a 4.36, 98th percentile speed score, 95th percentile burst score. Christian Watson, wide receiver out of North Dakota, Dakota State, 6'4", 208 pounds, big boy, and runs extremely fast. This guy I think is something that the Chiefs would do. We've seen them go off the board with McCole Hardman. And I think that it's possible that they could do it again and address the wide receiver position again. They don't need a slot guy. They need a field stretcher because they have Juju Smith-Schuster, and McCole Hardman is just kind of a gadget player. I think he'll be fine, but I'm kind of out on McCole Hardman. I think they got to shoot for the moon here, and that's Christian Watson, extremely good athlete. He's not going to be a Tyreek Hill, but he is fast and quick, and so he's a big boy, big target for Patrick Mahomes.
Yeah, you want to talk about the guy that just ruled the combine. You go on Twitter and you look at the NFL combine, winners and losers, you're going to see a lot of Christian Watson. If you go speed adjusted score at 6'4", 208, he turns some heads. Yeah. It is notable that he has some drop issues. His drop rate is fairly high. Like we're talking 10, no more. It was just over 10%, 16 on 120 catchable targets. I think I read. So what's that, like 12%? So that's a pretty notable drop rate for him. But that's something that can be overcome with some technique and some coaching. Like, look at Jamar Chase struggled with drops in the preseason. You remember that? Remember how crazy that was?
Remember that? He needed the lines on the ball to see it better.
Yeah. Adjustments can be made, but you can't teach size and speed, and Christian Watson has that. It's not a pick I would make, but I think it does fit the mold for the Chiefs. So
they seem to go off the board. If you're back in the first round every single time, why not?
Yeah. What do you really have to lose at that point?
Nothing
at all.
You could lose Jonathan Taylor, but who's really counting?
Fair. Okay, so the Bengals, I think at this point in the draft, get a little bit of a steal. They might get the best linebacker in the class in Devin Lloyd, who's kind of just fallen down the board for no reason here. He's probably somebody we may have looked to earlier, but linebacker's not a glaring need for a lot of teams. And when you think about all the offensive tackles that have gone off of the board, which is still sort of a need for the Bengals, I think Lloyd is a really good piece on the other side of the ball. So I'm going to go with Devin Lloyd at Utah for the Bengals. It's if you're just looking at best player available, he probably fits that.
And for the 32nd pick, we are done. I am not going to go Matt Corral. I'm not going to go Sam Howell or Carson Strong or one of these quarterbacks, because I think the Lions know that they're further away. And without wasting a pick at quarterback, they just go with a safety out of Michigan, Daxton Hill. And that's it. That's where we go. We go defense for the Lions. They're a year away from being a year away, as always. But I think they got to build their team right. Maybe I'll just jump on the Lions fandom. Why not? Let's build from the bottom, Mac. Stay in the NFC North.
Dude, if you're gonna jump ship from the Vikings, at least go to the best team in the division. Like,
no. I ain't about that life.
So there it is, mock draft 2.0. Some interesting landing spots. Let us know. What picks did you like? What didn't you like? What would be your dream scenario for some of these players like Chris Olave and Treylon Burks and Garrett Wilson? We had Garrett Wilson to the Commanders. Not what I would dial up for fantasy purposes, but I think it fits needs. So let us know. We would love to know. We have the ability to now, with this new platform, put you guys up on our screen here, like Mr. Sean Temps to pick. I don't know which pick you're talking about. I think it was Christian Watson.
I think it was too,
but I don't know.
I had to approve that language on our YouTube.
Wow.
Family show.
That's right. That was fun. That was a good exercise. Maybe I believe the third mock draft we did last year, we incorporated some trades. So maybe we'll experiment with that. Maybe we'll toss some trades into the mix.
Sure, why not?
Yeah. For those of you that followed along on YouTube today, appreciate you guys being with us and providing your commentary as we go through our show. For those of you on audio, if you could go ahead and leave a rating and review on Apple Podcasts or Spotify, wherever you listen, that would be greatly appreciated. And we'll probably be back here next Saturday again with Mock Draft 3.0 as we get closer and closer to the NFL draft.
Perfect. Thanks, guys. We will see you next time.